My name's Rob, and I cared for my wife Fran, who died of ovarian cancer.
I'm Anne, and I cared for my mum Frances for several years.
My name is Shana, and I cared for my daughter Dolly.
The experience of caring for someone with a life-limiting illness for me was incredibly profound.
I think I immediately became aware that it was going to be a huge burden. It wasn't going to be easy, and it sort of hit me like a wall.
Just a bag of everything. I had a friend explain it to me like a roller coaster ride that as soon as you got off, you wanted to get back on.
As a carer, I felt very anxious because the uncertainty laying ahead. I think I felt very alone.
I remember a sense of chronic sadness and sorrow, witnessing Mum's decline and the assaults on her dignity.
It's hard, and that's okay. And because you are struggling or feeling tired and worn out does not mean that you're doing a bad job. You're doing an excellent job. I think I want to start by saying that because of her, I'm a better person. And I think it would be unfair to speak of, I guess, the negative impacts of caring without acknowledging that first. I think the biggest challenge really was learning to be brave in the face of watching someone I loved more than myself suffer. It was really hard.
I guess for me, my mum was physically very frail. She had declined significantly in her mobility. The physical burden of having to help her transfer to a commode, help her to wash and toilet, I found that incredibly taxing, both physically and emotionally, because I knew how undermining it was of her dignity. It can be quite confronting at times, and of course I felt I needed to contain some of what I was feeling at those times, and that was tough.
It was also very difficult to get the balance right between being positive or optimistic and realistic, because I didn't want to be negative, but I wanted to be realistic. To manage the feelings, I think it's natural for me to get organised, and I tried to seek out all the information I could.
I tend to deal with things inside myself, so accessing support that allowed me to get space and time where I could just process things on my own was really important to me being able to survive.
A few friends of mine that understood the pressure that I felt or the tiredness, and they would give me a break where they could. My advice to a carer starting this journey would be to be prepared. Life is going to get crazy, and that's okay. You're going to experience the highest highs and the lowest lows.
I think it's really important actually to communicate as well as you can with your the one you're caring for, because if you're both agreeing with what's happening and what you're doing, what they want as well, I think that's critical. And I think it's also very important to have sort of trusted others, friends or family, that you can work with to get through the situation.
Think about what brings you comfort and peace. And for each of us, that's different. For me, it was being able to get some space away from the caring situation and from others, just to be able to spend time on my own processing what I was experiencing. Also, it's important to not be afraid to talk to people who want to support you. I found that people do want to be there for you, but often they don't know how to help.
I think when we care and we love like that, just completely, we're not very good at self-care.
As far as my health went, I think I felt about as stretched as I possibly could be. I coped okay, and I think I found resources within me that, I'd never called on before.
I neglected myself in a big way, and it probably even impacted my parenting of my other children. Well, it did.
I tried to look after my physical health. It was a battle at times, finding the time, but I knew that if I didn't do that, that wish that she had to stay at home, I wouldn't be able to achieve.
I mean, it's a bit like being in an aeroplane where they tell you to take your oxygen mask before you give it to your children, because if you're not doing okay, well, it's very difficult to look after someone else.
I kind of at times wished I'd done better, but at caring for me during the process of caring for Dol, because I feel that I could have cared for her better, but there's that guilt. But I think we do the best we can, even for ourselves, and it's that fine line you walk between their needs and yours throughout their life.
The experience of caring was so profound. I felt so privileged to journey with Mum at that point in her life.
I guess the positive aspects of caring for me were not a lot, but firstly the sort of satisfaction of knowing that I was giving my wife the best possible care I could help with.
I feel that Dolly taught me and gave me more than I gave her in life. She taught me what to love completely was like.
Well, I think the critical thing of everyday challenges of caring is planning, because the more planned you are, the more you're on top of things. I think things I found terribly useful were actually communicating well with family and friends, because a lot of the difficulties that come in this situation arise because people don't know what's going on, they don't know how to react to what's going on, they don't know how to talk to you or the one you care for. So I felt that communicating where she was at the time was absolutely important.
And I know it's hard, it's really hard to get structure in such chaos, but it is doable. Do those little things that are going to make your life function better every day.
planning ahead at each step of the journey really made a huge difference to what I could organise when the crisis came, and the crises did come.
The government community health carers who came regularly, and this became more frequent as time went by. It became daily, and it was a huge support. You know, I couldn't have done without that.
I had one friend who was caring for her dad as I was caring for my mum, and we formed our own little support group. We'd talk on the phone about our day at times and just listen to each other as we talked about our fears, our frustrations, and at times that was really, really helpful.
I had friends who had been more of not so involved in my life come to the forefront and wrap around our family. I had my foster mum come in, and she learnt to suction and provide nebulisers to Dolly so that I could go to the shops or just do something for myself.
Perhaps the best advice I could give is to take all the advice you can, and from GPs, specialists, oncologists, whoever.
It's really important to remember that you're not alone, that there are a lot of services and people out there that will want to help you.
Engage with the services that are there to support you through that process. Palliative care is not just about end-of-life care, it's about quality of life. And you are there to advocate for your loved one's quality of life, and they will help you navigate and fight for quality for your loved one.
When you lose someone, you know, there's this period of feeling quite numb and as if you're in another world. Even if you know the death is coming, it can still be quite a shock. But for me, I often think of grief as an unruly beast, you know. You're going about your life and you're thinking, yeah, I'm okay with this, and then something will happen, you know, something will come on the radio, or, you know, you'll see a mug that belonged to the person you lost and you'll be in a pool of tears, you know.
I can honestly say I was in shock for probably about 2 weeks. I miss her every day. It was really hard. During her life, she became my world. She was everything from the moment I opened my eyes to the moment I closed them.
I did feel a particular guilt because I was out of the room when my wife actually died. Only for about 5 minutes, but that was, I found that difficult. You know, I needn't have blamed myself looking back, but I did. And I think after that, I felt a huge amount of grief and sort of sadness that she died.
It's hard to reconcile the fact that your world has shifted on its axis when you lose someone really significant in your life, and out there life is going on as if nothing happened.
When you're caring for a loved one, you are so stressed and under so much pressure, and you wish that life was different for them and for you, but yet it's the one part of my life I'd go back to from the day she was born. I'd do it again. What helped me after Dolly passed away or grew her wings, as I like to say, is speaking with other bereaved parents, as you know, they have been able to normalise the experience of grief and loss for me, because I'd never lost a child before, so I didn't know, I guess.
Suddenly I was sort of facing the fact that I no longer had my wife, who was, you know, very much my life, and so I sort of started planning about, you know, or thinking about what I might do, and I went to St Vincent's Hospital where my wife was treated, and said, is there anything I can do to help? And they signed me up there as a consumer representative in the cancer stream there, and I still work there, and I also thought about doing a master's degree, which I did, specialising in counselling for cancer patients. So I started that, and you know, I've now completed that, and I'm working as a counsellor for cancer patients.
My mum would often say to me, you know, I know what you're giving up for me, and I'm so grateful to you. I want you to remember how grateful I am for what you've done for me. Now, you know, that still moves me to tears, but I think it was a real gift from her to me.
I incorporate Dolly in everything I do. I wear dragonflies, I wear yellow. I bought a yellow car because it was her favourite colour. I grieve no different to anyone else that lost their loved one. And it's one day at a time.
She is.